Jessica Cumming is an executive life strategist, master certified professional coach, and the founder of JC New Beginnings. She is a former tech leader with nearly 20 years of experience at Dell Technologies, where she led and trained global teams across 8 countries. After navigating her own layoff following a long corporate career, Jessica now partners with professionals to regain trust in their decision making and intentionally build lives and careers aligned with who they actually are, not who they were expected to be. She is also the host of this really great podcast. You have to listen to it. We Are Women, Unapologetically, where she explores career and life transitions, confidence, and everything in between. I welcome you for Jessica's presentation, The Unapologetic Mindset. Take the floor.
Thank you. How many of you are finding that you are second-guessing decisions right now that you used to answer without effort? You're sitting here thinking, what do I want to do next? What direction do I want to go in? What's my worth? I want to sit here and say that I see you and I've been you. Because when a layoff disrupts your life, it doesn't just disrupt your work, it disrupts your trust. Trust in your decisions, trust in yourself. And today, we are going to look at changing that. Today isn't about job searching. Today is about reclaiming your decision making without fear. And it's going to allow you to rebuild your life. Not just the life that you thought you wanted, but the life that you actually want with your next chapter. After a layoff, people go straight to job searching, updating the resume. They look at networking. They look at the interviewing. But there's so much more that happens before you even get to this point. That's called decision paralysis. Should I apply for this job, or will I be settling? Should I take some time off to figure out what I really, really want? Or is it going to look bad on my resume? Should I negotiate the salary, or should I take something less? You have probably sat here and researched decisions for hours, maybe days. You've asked for other people's opinions. You have sat there and wrote out pros and cons list of every single job. I'm here to tell you that that is not indecision, that is your brain trying to protect you from making another wrong choice. I do have some exercises here today. This is the first one. You can go ahead and write it down if you have a pen and paper, or simply take out your phone. But what I would like you to do is I would like you to think about what are 3 decisions that you could make before your major layoff transition without any problem. And then think about what decisions you struggle with since your layoff. And I am going to give you some real time to do this. I'm going to give you a few minutes. But the third part of it is look at both lists and think about what changed.
Interesting.
So, part 1, what are 3 decisions before your layoff? Give you 2 minutes for that.
Do you mean
Anything, whether,
before you even knew you were going to be laid off, just unrelated, or?
yeah, before you knew anything, before any major life, just when your life was what you would think was normal before.
Mhm.
And I probably won't have the activities going as long, just
You're doing
to
great.
condense it.
Okay, I know. You take the time you need.
I should have had some holiday music to play because I'm not going to sing for y'all.
Jeopardy?
There you go. We could do that. Yeah. I'm still not going to do it because I got my voice from my grandmother and she couldn't carry a tune. No, decisions that were easy to make before. Yeah, what were easy to make before, you can make them no problem. And now since you're struggling to make some of them, yeah. And just for the sake of time, I am going to go ahead and give you about 1 more minute to wrap up. I'm going to cut it just a little bit. But if you need the time, that's okay. Make sure that you feel free to take pictures during today. And if you didn't see in the beginning, feel free to tag me in them too, if you post any online.
Do you want us to do just part 1 or all 3?
Go ahead and do all 3 parts, yep. Would you guys like some more time? Would that be helpful? Yeah, okay. We'll give you a couple more minutes.
Number 11? I was number 5 earlier.
I'm 10, so.
Oh, okay, number 10? I was number 5 earlier.
Oh.
She hasn't gone yet.
Okay. Oh, all right, go ahead.
No, I don't.
Like, I don't care, it's my good.
Were we supposed to get some sort of number? I didn't-
Yes.
I didn't
Oh.
get one.
I was like, I looked at the list.
Yeah, I did.
All right, we're going to go ahead and continue.
As far as the sign-in sheet.
What you just looked at is a gap in information. I'm here to tell you that it is not failure. You are making a decision from 2 different points in your life when you did that exercise. And that gap that you looked at today, that is the gap that we are going to look at closing. Before we get too further into today, I want to tell you a little bit, not only about me, but why I am so passionate about the work that I do now. I'm a little girl from Wisconsin, a town of 10,000 people in the peninsula. And even from a young age, I had big dreams. I said at 2 years old, I wanted to be an exchange student. I said at 10, I want to travel the world and train people. At 16, I got the very unique opportunity to tell Zig Ziglar in person, I want to do what you do when I grow up. Right around that time, I was told by a person in my family that I would never amount to anything. And despite that, at 17 years old, this little girl from Wisconsin that wouldn't amount to anything navigated her way around the world to Australia for a transformative year as an exchange student. When I came back from Australia, I was accepted into my #1 school of choice, Baylor University. I spent 3.5 years on campus before I spent my last semester up in New York, living in Times Square, doing a dual internship at the Ricky Lake Show and the Madison Square Garden Network. I then returned back to Waco to graduate not only on the dean's list, but with a job offer, making me the first in my family to go to college and the first to ever work in the corporate world. I want to ask this question here. How many have you ever made a choice not because it's what you wanted, but because you thought it would make others proud? I asked that question because 4 weeks into my corporate career, I got a phone call. I got a phone call that could have changed my career trajectory. I went to school for film and television, and I had someone say, quit your job, come tour with me that's in the music industry, and still is today. One of his last tours, may have heard her, Beyonce.
Oh, wow.
I turned that down. I turned it down not because I wanted to, I turned it down, but because I thought climbing the corporate ladder is what would make my family proud. So I stayed. During my time at Dell, I got to do what I had said I wanted to do. I traveled the world and trained people. Here are some of the places that I've went. I was working in 3 different continents, 8 countries. I had launched customer care and order processing sites in 3 countries. And everything looked great. And in my last job there, I became a business transformation PM. And it was a role that was designed for me, it was made for me, and I loved it. And then all of a sudden, something happened that happened to so many people. Someone left the team. And I remember saying to this guy, because he was a mentor of mine, I said, Mike, I'm so sad you're leaving. But I also know I don't want your job. And then it happened. I ended up working 14-hour days. I ended up burning myself out. I ended up missing family activities. Some of you guys can probably relate to that. And I was in this position for probably about 10 months where I was very unhappy. I had started looking for other jobs internally. I knew I wanted to move. I knew what I was doing with technical jargon was not in my wheelhouse. But with layoffs that had already taken place, there was jobs that were being posted and then taken down, or they were posted and then they just never moved forward. And then all of a sudden, I knew it was layoff week. And so I did what a lot of people do. They check their calendar. Did another meeting get added? Am I going to be the one? Nope, no meeting. I still had this uneasy feeling. I had this feeling in my gut for weeks. I remember my boss saying, will you please add this other person to your meetings? And I said, yeah, but we still both have jobs, right? Because I'd be the one to ask that question. And he said, oh yeah, he goes, it's just because you're going on vacation, which I was, so fair enough. So that week, I joined my regularly scheduled one-on-one. I was ready to give my updates. I had made some great progress on my project. And he says to me, hey, Jessica, we're just waiting for someone from HR to join. And I took a moment and I responded, well, I guess that's everything I need to know. At that point, my mind went blank. I put my phone on speaker. I started texting my boyfriend, my aunts, my old bosses, anyone I trusted, because I was in shock. And I sat there through that conversation and I didn't hear a word. Absolutely nothing. I hung up the phone. I called my boyfriend, who ironically had heard me on my calls, knew I was doing so great with my projects, that was so confident I wasn't going to be laid off, that he had resigned from his job 5 days earlier. I tell you this because this happens to a lot of us. And in the aftermath, there are things that we do and we don't do. For me, the number one phone call that I couldn't make was to my dad. I couldn't call my dad because I did not have the heart to tell him that the little girl that he said all the time that he was so proud of, that had built a successful career for nearly 20 years, had just been laid off. And then, after that, my brain started running the receipts. Why didn't I start to push harder to try to get out of that position? How long were the signs there that I should have caught? What could I have done differently to prevent this from happening? And I'm here to tell you that there was nothing as far as preventing it. It was going to happen. At first, I was in shock, and then there was a little bit of resentment. Not in a dramatic way, but because of the things that I mentioned earlier, missing family dinners, taking my laptop on vacation, the late night phone calls. All of these things, that was time that I gave to that company that I could never get back, and now this still happened. And so if you have been there, I'm here to tell you that I completely understand, and it is normal to go through it. When is the decision that you made, what is the last time you made a decision purely for yourself? Purely for yourself. The reason I ask that question is because right after a layoff, there is a guilt that sets in with it. There is a guilt to be productive, to hurry up and find something, to scramble, to rush into the next thing. And we oftentimes do that not for the sake of ourselves, but for those that are around us. And when we try to make decisions out of guilt, we don't come closer to what we want. We push ourselves further away. Now I want to talk to you about what changed for me. I sat there and I thought, how do I reframe this? How do I reframe this layoff? Because it's something that can be devastating. My reframe was, why is this happening to me? Instead of why is this happening to me, why is this happening for me? And that's the moment that I realized that I wasn't being punished, I was being pushed. I was being pushed to figure out who I was. I was being pushed to go back to that little girl that had self-trust. I was being pushed to figure out who I was without hiding behind a job title for somebody else. That's when I became a master certified coach, and I started JC New Beginnings. The ironic part about this is the concrete on my back patio. I put that in about 6 years before I started my company. What I want you to take from that is that wherever you are in your job search right now, wherever you are in your transition, you are not starting over. All of the experience that you have, those travel with you. They're not held to a job title. They do not go with a company logo. They are yours. All of the transferable skills that you have, those skills, put them in a suitcase and take them with you because they don't belong where you used to be. They belong with you. And I'm here to let you know that those two things, that your experience and your skills, they are currency, and it is time for you to cash in. In order to do that, I would like to do an exercise with you that's called value mining. Because a lot of times when you look at leaving a role, you're stuck. You don't know what your worth is. So in order to help you bring that back today, I'd like to go through these questions. What 3 problems have you solved at work, in life, anywhere? What are 3 times that someone came to you and asked you to help for advice? What do they need? 2 things people consistently compliment you on or thank you for. 2 moments you're proud of that have absolutely nothing to do with a job title or a promotion. And I'm going to give you a few minutes to go through this because this is really, truly important for you. So I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 minutes. And you may not be able to finish it all in time. However, hopefully you can take pictures and finish it at home too.
Number 11.
I'll give you about 2 more minutes.
Sure.
Thank you. Just remind
Certainly.
me if I forget.
I'll try to remember.
One more minute. I feel the fingers moving faster. What you just identified, that is your currency. It is tied to you, not any of the previous jobs you had, not any of the previous companies you worked for. They are yours. Now I want to transition into the 3 rules of the unapologetic mindset. It is not about being perfect. It's about being authentic in everything that you do. Number 1, confidence is an action. It's not a feeling. Oftentimes, we feel like we need to be ready, and then we will get confidence to do it. I'm here to tell you that's backwards. Your brain doesn't release the hormone that makes you feel confident until you start actually taking the actions. What does that mean? Apply for the job, even if it's a stretch goal. Negotiate your salary, even if you don't know yet if you feel as though you're worth it, because I'm here to tell you, you are. In order to practice this in your everyday life, the one thing that you can do is wake up in the morning and say, if I was already confident, what would I do? Make a list and pick one thing that day to do. Just one. Number 2, your voice is your power. Oftentimes when you're going through a transition, and it doesn't matter if it's any a career or life transition, any transition, we tend to lose our voice first. But I want to let you know that your voice, that's what determines if you take a chance and make a change, or if you shrink back into what you used to be. You have to be willing to speak up, show your voice. You don't have to say it perfect, but say it, practice it. Because over time, you're going to start to trust your instincts, you're going to start to trust your voice again. But you have to be willing to use it. Number 3, and this may be one that ruffles some feathers, but putting yourself first is not selfish. It is strategic. I'm letting you know that burnout is not a badge of honor. I am letting you know that saying yes to everything doesn't make you king of the world. But what I am telling you is that when people say, take the first job even though it's less flexible, or take the job even though it's further away, think about what is going to be best for you. Not everyone else, you. Somebody else isn't going to be sitting in traffic like you are. Somebody else isn't going to be paying for the gas that you are. Think about what is best for you. And then schedule some time with yourself, 30 minutes a week. And then if you can make it 30 minutes a day, perfect. 30 minutes of uninterrupted time just for yourself. Schedule it on your calendar like a meeting, because you are that important. And third, instead of reactively saying yes, try saying maybe, or goodness forbid, no. No explanation, just no. In the beginning, we went around the room and everyone introduced themselves. And a lot of people are still trying to figure out where you're going, what exactly you want to do, what your skills are. And so what I want you to do is look at everything that we just created together, all of the skills that we talked about, and think about 3 lines that you can tell your story that you're building, not where you've been. Because I'm going to be very honest with you, we're going into the holiday season. How many people are you going to see that you haven't seen in a while and they're going to say, oh, what are you doing? And you're going to be, oh. Or, so what's next for you? Oh. Look at these 3 sentences to figure out the story that you're going to be able to build. Just 3, and just these things. No apologizing, no explaining, no starting with your trauma. Just where you are going. That's it. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to go ahead and try to craft that out. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes, not a whole lot of time, but if you haven't already taken a picture, please do.
Jessica, you are knocking it out of the park.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I'll tell you the story after.
I haven't listened to your podcast in a couple of them. I need to catch up.
I can go to 11:20. That's okay. 11:20.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good? That's great.
Going to give you about 2 more minutes. About 1 more minute. Now, typically I would look at doing a pairing exercise here, but for the sake of time, what I am going to do is I am going to skip the pairing exercise, but I do encourage you when we are done today, that you stick around, you find someone, and you introduce yourself using just these 3 lines. See how it feels to use those 3 lines instead of apologizing, instead of leading with what happened, but building your confidence in where you're going. I challenge you in the next 72 hours to make 1 bold move. And when I say bold move, I'm not talking big, grand. It could be reaching out to that one contact that you've been wanting to connect with, that you haven't had the courage to do. Send that 1 email to that one person for the conversation that you've been dreading, but you know needs to happen. Update your LinkedIn profile, and I am not saying open to work. As a matter of fact, right away, I discourage that. But lead with what you are going towards. What are your skills? I want to share a personal story here with you because I've talked about self-trust through this whole thing. And self-trust for me, one of the first times that I can remember happened January 10th, 1992. My mother and I, we were coming home from my swim team meet, and we ended up slipping on black ice. Now, for those of you that don't know what it is, it just looks like the road is wet, but it's actually ice. Slipping on that black ice caused us to spin in circles and hit another car head-on before going into a deep ditch. We were in a convertible at the time, a white convertible with a white soft top and a plastic window. The impact from that crash broke my mother's seat. She was in the front, I was in the back. Broke her seat, and when I woke up, the next thing I knew, her legs were laying next to me and her body was on the trunk of our vehicle. I will spare you the rest of the details from that day, but I remember it very, very vividly. I can tell you everything about the other car and exactly where everything and everyone was. But what I will tell you is that she was non-responsive. I reached over, I shook her leg, and I said, "Mommy, mommy, mommy." Exactly 3 times. And in the faintest of voices I heard, "Everything is going to be okay." And then, nothing. Not another word. Strangers started pulling over. They saw us in the ditch, and people had said, "Thankfully, we could see your headlights, or we would have never known you guys were here." They pulled me out of the back of that vehicle. They set me in someone else's vehicle, and we waited for the paramedics to arrive that were about 30 minutes away. When the paramedics got there, I gave them all of the information that they needed of how to contact our family, because this was way before cell phones. And I also noticed, I looked down and I saw that they had put the white sheet over my mother. I trusted myself enough to tell those paramedics, you need to check again, she is alive. I am telling you, she is alive. And that's the moment that I learned that self-trust is not a motivational concept. It is your own personal survival tool. And I say that because had I not trusted myself that day, my mother would have never lived another 20 years. This is one of the last pictures that was taken of her. So I challenge you today, as we close, as you walk out that room, you need to understand that the world does not need more people who doubt themselves. They need more people who know what they are worth and they are willing to claim it, especially after a transition has tried to tell them otherwise. I am here to tell you, even if I have never met you, I know that you are so much more than your title. You have value, you have skills, you have experiences, and no one can take that from you. You are not your layoff, you are not fear, you are not uncertainty. You are wisdom. You are knowledge, and you are building the life that you want unapologetically. And I want you to know that people that choose to live their lives unapologetically, if you choose to do so when you walk out that door, people that do that, they don't just change their lives, they change the world.